My wife didn't book a room for me on our vacation trip, her friends mocked. We reserved rooms only for the elites. We are the only important people, I calmly said. Then I will leave, and walked out hours later. After ignoring dozens of their calls, something unthinkable happened. But Olivia and her friends are adults. They can figure it out. Good luck. I hung up, shaking my head. Olivia had always relied on me to clean up her messes, but those days were over. Back at the resort, Olivia's world was falling apart. After the divorce papers were delivered, the resort staff refused to wait any longer for payment. They demanded immediate action, threatening to involve local authorities if the balance wasn't settled. David can't do this, Olivia fumed, pacing the lobby. She clutched the divorce papers in one hand, her phone in the other. He's being petty, he'll cave, he always does. But the resort manager wasn't interested in her personal drama. Ma'am, this is a business matter. We require payment in full before your party can continue to use our facilities. Clara, who had been silently observing the spectacle, finally snapped. Olivia, what is going on? First the cards are declined, and now we're being told the bills haven't been paid? You said you had this covered. Fiona, never one to hold back, chimed in. You lied to us, didn't you? All that talk about being the breadwinner, it's all David's money, isn't it? Olivia glared at them, her composure cracking. That's not the point. David's being vindictive. He canceled everything without warning. Maybe because he's finally tired of your games, Clara retorted. The tension between them was palpable. Olivia, once the confident ringleader of their group, was now exposed and vulnerable. Her friends, who had vast in her generosity, were turning against her. When the resort staff demanded their passports as collateral, the humiliation reached its peak. Olivia was forced to call her brother, begging for a loan to settle the bills. He agreed reluctantly, but not without a lecture that left her seething. By the time the payments were cleared, the damage was done. Clara and Fiona packed their bags, refusing to spend another moment at the resort. This isn't what I signed up for, Clara said coldly. You can find your own way home, Olivia. Fiona gave her a scornful look. Good luck with your divorce. You're going to need it. And just like that, Olivia was alone. The next morning she returned to her home, expecting to find some semblance of normalcy. Instead, she was met with locked doors and a note taped to the front. Olivia, your belongings have been packed and sent to your brother's house. Please contact Rebecca Smith for any further communication. She'll handle the rest. David. The note was short, impersonal, and final. Olivia stood on the porch, staring at the life she'd taken for granted. Inside, I sat with a cup of coffee, watching her through the window. It wasn't out of cruelty, it was out of clarity. This was the life she had chosen, and I wasn't going to let her drag me down with her anymore. After several minutes, she finally left. Her shoulders slumped. I watched her drive away, feeling a strange mix of relief and sadness. This wasn't how I had envisioned our marriage ending, but it was the only path forward. For the first time in years, I felt free. The house was quiet when Olivia finally left, the kind of stillness that felt like a clean slate. I sat by the window, sipping my coffee, watching her car disappear down the street. A part of me felt heavy, weighed down by the wreckage of what once was, but another part, one I hadn't felt in years, felt free, untangled from her manipulation, her ego, her constant need to control every aspect of our lives. After she left, the real work began. I didn't want my children, Lily and Ethan, to hear about the divorce in bits and pieces or from whispers in Olivia's social circle. I had to tell them, but carefully. They deserved honesty without the burden of our adult conflicts. Later that evening, I sat them down in the living room. They were back from their trip with my parents, their laughter still echoing in my ears as they recounted their adventures. I hated to break their joy, but I knew it couldn't wait. Lily, Ethan, I began, my voice steady but soft. There's something important I need to talk to you about. Their smiles faded as they exchanged glances. Is everything okay, Dad? Ethan asked. It will be, I assured them. But things are going to change. Your mom and I have decided to separate. Lily's eyes widened. Separate? What do you mean? I took a deep breath, choosing my words carefully. It means we won't be living together anymore. Your mom and I have had some problems for a long time, and this is the best decision for all of us. But why? Lily's voice cracked, her young mind struggling to grasp the complexity of adult relationships. I leaned forward, meeting their eyes. Sometimes even when two people care about each other, they realize they're not happy together. It's no one's fault, and it doesn't change how much we love you. Ethan frowned, his brow furrowed in thought. So, Mom's leaving? Yes, I said gently. She's staying with your uncle for now. You'll still see her and she'll always be your mom. That will never change. Lily sniffled, and I reached out to hold her hand. I know it's hard to understand right now, but I promise we'll get through this together. You two are the most important people in my life, and I'll always be here for you. They nodded slowly, their faces a mix of sadness and confusion. It wasn't an easy conversation, but it was necessary. I wanted them to feel secure even as our family dynamic shifted. The next few days were a whirlwind of adjustments. I focused on creating a stable routine for the kids, ensuring they felt safe and loved. I took them to school, helped with homework, and planned movie nights to distract them from the tension. Meanwhile, Olivia's fallout continued. Word of her financial troubles and our impending divorce spread quickly through her social circle. The friends who had once flocked to her for parties and favors now distanced themselves, unwilling to associate with someone whose status had crumbled. Her brother called me once, exasperated. David, she's a mess. She's blaming everyone but herself. I don't know how to deal with her. I sighed, leaning back in my chair. She'll have to figure it out. I've done all I can. Do you think she'll change? She asked. I hesitated. I don't know. That's up to her. At the same time, I began to feel lighter. Without Olivia's constant demands and criticism, I had the space to focus on myself. I dove into work, channeling my energy into new projects. I even started reconnecting with old friends. People I hadn't seen in years because Olivia had always found a reason to keep me tethered to her world. One evening, as I helped Ethan with his science project, he looked up at me and said, Dad, you seem happier. The simplicity of his observation caught me off guard. I smiled, ruffling his hair. Thanks, buddy. I think I am. The divorce proceedings moved swiftly, thanks to my meticulous preparation. Rebecca, my lawyer, handled everything efficiently, ensuring the settlement was fair but firm. Olivia fought initially, but she quickly realized she had little leverage. By the time the divorce was finalized, I felt a sense of closure. It wasn't the life I had envisioned, but it was a life I could rebuild. A life rooted in honesty, respect, and the unwavering love I had for my children. As for Olivia, her isolation grew. Without the financial security and social clout she had once enjoyed, she was forced to confront the reality of her choices. Whether or not she would learn from them remained to be seen, but that was no longer my concern. I had my children, my peace, and a future that felt bright for the first time in years. The fallout was over, and in its place was the promise of a new beginning. When I decided to cut Olivia off completely, I knew it would force her to face the consequences of her choices. What I didn't expect was how quickly her world would unravel. The woman who once thrived in the glow of high society and surrounded herself with sycophants was now facing the harsh reality of life without me as her safety net.